For the 8th anniversary of the Neo Geo Thread of the Atari Age Forums, here is a review of Eightman. This 1991 46 megabit action beat-em-up is based on a manga and anime series which first appeared in 1963 by Kazumasa Hirai and Jiro Kuwata. The titularly named character was a special agent killed while on assignment. His lifeless body was found by a scientist, with his mind and soul transferred to a cybernetic body, becoming the 8th man, based on being the 8th experiment conducted by the scientist. Eightman has superhuman speed and strength, with the ability to morph into his previous identity, though this is known only to a few individuals. The cyber biocomputer system has launched missiles at Tokyo, leaving it in ruins. Its army of robots has taken over, and it's up to Eightman to answer the call of duty to prevent any further destruction. This is a 2-player co-op, with the second player assuming the role of 9-man. For those not familiar with this game, think along the lines of Too Crude or Bad Dudes vs. Dragon Ninja. The stages are set on city streets and highways showing lots of destruction, high-tech bases, an airship, laboratories, and the woods, which leads into a mountain base. Most of the action moves on a single plane from left to right, though you can jump onto higher platforms in some areas. There are horizontal and vertical auto-scrolling levels which run at normal and high speed. Some areas have platforming sections consisting of jumping over gaps onto floating platforms, or to avoid columns or waves of flames and toxic waste. Falling down a hole costs you a life. The controls are simple, with buttons for attacks, jumping, and bombs. The attack button executes both punches and kicks. Pressing the attack and jump buttons together performs a spin kick, which inflicts extra damage and is useful for attacking enemies on each side. You can slide to slip underneath projectiles. You can control the height and length of your jumps and change direction while in mid-air. You pick up items to increase your health, attack power, and number of bombs. Health units and bombs max out at 5, while your attack power can be upgraded up to 3 times. Bomb attacks depend on your attack level. When maxed out, you shoot projectiles in several directions with a protective shield surrounding you. In a 2-player game, a spark appears when the players are close together. Using a bomb in this state creates a powerful screen-clearing lightning attack. Points are awarded for picking up these items when maxed out, which aids in earning extra lives at various point totals. Health units and bomb stocks reset to 3 when you lose a life, but your attack power remains even when you continue. These items appear frequently and are obtained by defeating enemies or when passing or jumping at certain spots. Less frequent items include 8 power and an extra life. The 8 power gives you temporary invincibility with unlimited bomb use during that time. Enemies are a combination of robotic, aerial, vehicular, and biomechanical beings. They appear individually in clusters and formations. Enemies appear from all directions, to include jumping into the plane from both the foreground and background. Cyborgs perform the same basic maneuvers as you, with a doppelganger that can use bomb attacks. Large spike robots quickly charge at you, so use a spin kick to easily dispatch of them. There are robots that split in half, with the upper part hovering around you firing bullets. Zombies must be defeated twice before they're destroyed. Aerial enemies include helicopters that fire spread shots and mini saucers that rain down bombs. Unlike most brawlers, any contact with an enemy costs you health. Most areas end with a boss battle. Some bosses have weak points which are easily identifiable. For the most part, it's not too tough to pick up on their attack patterns, as they telegraph what they'll do next. Spin kicks and bombs can quickly take care of them, but don't needlessly waste health if playing on an AES where you only get 3 continues, or if you're keen on setting high scores, as they reset when you continue. Take a balanced approach when getting through the non-auto-scrolling areas. It's easy to get caught by surprise from an enemy if you rush things, yet if you're overly cautious, you run the risk of time expiring. In some of the later areas, which are longer to complete, don't spend too much time defeating enemies, as you can leave some of them behind. Taking the time to memorize the enemy and hazard placements, along with the attack behaviors, makes Eightman less of a credit feeder compared to titles like Sengoku, Burning Fight, and Ninja Combat. I've been able to make it to the last stage without continuing. Eightman shares common traits with its fellow Neo Geo brawling brethren. You are penalized if you remain idle for too long. A lightning spark rains down, costing you health, so keep moving. There's sprite scaling during the boss intros, when bosses are defeated, and when enemies jump in and out from the foreground and background. Towards the end of the game, you fight most of the previous bosses again, with some battles against 2 of them at a time. The final boss will kick you in the you-know-what, as it's initially tough to predict where his flame shots will go, but its position will tell you how to react to it. Be prepared to possibly use multiple credits on it. Eightman offers fast-paced action taking around 25 minutes to complete, so it doesn't wear out its welcome. The soundtrack is consistent with the action, providing a quick tempo. The alarms add to the tension of the game. There's plenty of explosions, which would be expected from a sci-fi themed game. Eightman is not hampered with slowdown from all the on-screen enemies and explosions. The graphics aren't mind-blowing, but there's a solid amount of color and detail in the backgrounds, though I wish the high-speed rounds had different scenery. For those stages, they could have mixed it up by using backdrops such as mountains and forests. Also in the high-speed areas, you fight the same roving vehicle at the end each time, albeit with different colors and firing sequences. Years ago, I mentioned in my Robo Army review that it wouldn't win any awards, but is worth a playthrough every now and then. The same applies to Eightman. It's far from the best game in its genre, but is a solid pick-up-and-play game. Likely due to licensing, Eightman has not seen any official releases outside of the Neo Geo MVS and AES. Is Eightman worth buying? I would say it depends on how much of a fan you are of arcade beat-em-ups. If you are a dedicated fan and collector for the genre, then I recommend buying the MVS cartridge, as the AES version has exceeded $500 in price at the time this video was posted. If you aren't, then I say give it a go on main. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.